Do you have advice for how to be okay with writing shitty drafts?
Oh, remove your brain. Maybe like weed. I don't know. Um, Someone just asked me about this. Why can't I remember the conversation? What, I don't know. What's coming up? What's coming up for you?
Well, when we were talking about like what I struggled with, right? There are two main factors. One is simply sitting down to write, but not actually being present for writing. So like
Mm,
that's a thing. Um, and I feel like I have a much better idea of a plan for how to address that. And then the other thing was, okay, then I'm here and I'm excited and I want to do this. And then I start writing the words and I'm like, these words suck. Why am I doing this? Right. And so, like, I can always, of course, I can go, well, this is why I'm doing it. But if I don't feel like the output, the outcome is actually going to be effective and accomplishing, like I can have a why, but if the how doesn't actually accomplish that, then I'm like, what's the point? Why
mm,
why do I keep writing? So, and I know that this is just my don't make mistakes perfectionism thing, right? That like I don't want to have a shitty first draft. I want to have a perfect first draft that perfectly expresses what I'm trying to say. And so I'm just like, and of course, like that's a deeper problem than than the other one. And so it's sort of like, how do I like what do I need to do? What do I need to figure out to like sort of unlock that
hmm
block or that expectation? Like how do I change my expectation for what is actually coming out? And I don't know, like reminding myself that this is not the final product in some way. It feels like
hmm
it should be, right? Um, so that's yeah. So I'm sort of struggling with like what can I do. I mean, other than talking about it with my therapist as I do, but like aside from that, like when I'm actually literally sitting down to write, like what can I do to like just sort of be like, nope, the goal here is to write it as shitty as possible.
That's right. What if the goal was to write it as shitty as possible, Addie?
I mean, that would be entertaining.
So you're never going to have a perfect draft. Even like your final draft is never going to be like flawless, but it can be pretty damn good. But it's got to exist, right? In order for that to happen. I think that I think, so when you say that, like, you sit down to write and you like, it's not good enough, it's never going to be any good. Do you mean the words on the page or the story itself or like, the genre you're writing? Like, what is there some element of it specifically?
um, I mean, part of it is the words, but that I feel like that feels more approachable or acceptable. Like, because I know, like, I can edit in Wordsmith and edit in Wordsmith. Like, that's
Hmm
almost fun, right? To like keep
hmm
massaging. But it's more like um not feeling sure that like the way that I'm writing the scene or like the way like what I'm actually describing is happening is actually doing what I want or is not like moving things the right way. So and it's like in a sense, and that is the words. It's like yes, I know this scene needs to be Raz has to kill this other person. That's the
hmm
scene, and I know the basic structure of how that's going to happen. But then it's like the actual writing. It's like I don't know how you kill someone. I don't. This is
Mm.
is this like actually like is this does this actually make sense? Like is am I writing this the right way so that it actually feels correct? Or, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
So it's
That's,
like,
you know, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
kind of like the bones of the like the
Mhm.
play by play, and like is it coming across to the reader, and like I don't know, like the
Right. Is my head filling in too much stuff so that I know what's going on here? But like, does a reader actually get this? And does it sound believable or approachable or whatever to a
Mhm.
reader? I think that's where I tend to get hung up. And then I start being like, this is stupid. Nobody will understand it.
Okay, so there's a couple things. First, just like the words on the page, especially for like, I think action scenes, either you're just sort of like some genius and you know how to write them, or you're like the rest of us and you're like, oh my God, I don't understand what, because either you're like, and then she extended her elbow and it's just too much detail, or it's like, I have no idea what's happening. So like sort of action scenes are really hard. So that in particular is
Mm.
a normal place to struggle. Um, if you wanted, we could look at a chapter and I could give you feedback, like if you tried this, or, like this is a thing to work on, or like, let's learn this skill, or like, good job, keep going. Um, Also, in terms of your first draft, so is the fear that everything isn't making sense, or that like you're going to write it and it's just going to be trash and you have to basically start over, or that you
No,
need to know how to do
I feel like
everything?
there are parts of it that are good and gel and make sense. And then there's like other bits that I'm less sure of. And so then I feel like it's gonna be like islands of okay with little mushy parts of what the fuck, connecting them and like sort of like that's not a good story.
But it's a great first draft, truly. If you have islands of okay, then that's like, oh, there's the story. I can see the whole story. There are the islands.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be like a solid Pangea. Like we're looking for islands of okay, Addi, because no writer has all of the skills they need at the beginning of their first draft. Revision is always about filling in the places where you aren't as strong. And every writer has things that they suck at or are not as good at. And so for me, description, I abhor. So I just literally skip it. I'm just like, fill in a description later. You can do that. And so if it's going to help you, like if you can identify those kinds of writing or those scenes or wherever we're like, my brain is going to get stuck here, you can just leave yourself a note like, Addi, you need to write this fight scene later so that you can move on to the pieces that you can write. What do you think of that?
I mean, I still need to go back and write them.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe that's enough for me to at least get started again. Because I mean, part of this is that, of course, like I sort of like left in that place, and then life and work got really stressful, and then the
Right.
holidays and everything. And so now I feel like I've got to like jump back into it, and it's like jumping back into the what the fucks, and it's a little like,
Mm,
oh,
yeah.
do that. Um, so if I can, skip over what the fucks to get myself started, that would probably be helpful. At least to get
Yeah.
me try and get me writing again, basically.
Yeah. Everyone, there's no wrong way to draft. Like you don't have to write consecutively. You can skip whole scenes or whole I don't know what to call parts of scenes. Because we just want to have something to work with. We got to get the bones of the story out. Well, you have the bones, but now we're doing the flesh. I don't know. It's gross, but Addi, you may also, I think some people do enjoy having feedback while they draft. So, if you are going to find it helpful to get feedback while you draft, like we can figure that out so that you feel more confident, or, maybe for a period of time.
Mm.
Do you think that would be helpful, or would that make your editor brain even more?
I think that would freak me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be open to sharing a chapter, either with me or all of us, where we just tell you the great things?
I guess that's what I'm here for. Fine. All right. I will
Okay.
go and sit down and actually figure out what I even have and try to find something, and then I will share it by the end of the month.
Okay.
I'll give myself that.
Okay. So, when you share it, are you going to put it in Mighty Network?
Yeah.
Okay. Be sure to just say, only tell me good things, please.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any
Cool.
other questions right now?
Oh,
Okay. Do you
good.
feel like you have a next step?
I do. I feel like I can get myself to sit down and start writing again, which is the big barrier right now. So
Okay.
gotta get back in the flow, man.
All right. I believe in you. I believe in you all. I'm writing
Thanks.
down. I'm going to write myself a note in Asana. By the end of the month, Addi needs to post a chapter. Let's see here.
Would it be okay if I shared a quick story or a quick little statement about this, Addie?
Mhm.
And the first,
Absolutely.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton, also wrote several musicals before that. The biggest one being, it was called In the Heights. And there was a song, the opening song, yep, In the Heights. And right, great show. And he was interviewed, it may have been before Hamilton came out. I don't remember. And if I can find this deep dive of a strange PBS interview, I don't know even where it was. But in the interview, he basically said, I wrote In the Heights, and I wrote, and specifically the song titled In the Heights is the opening number. He's like, and I wrote it. And the version that's in the current Broadway Tony winning musical, this is as much of the song that's the original song. In Washington Heights, that's it. That's it. So the first version that he wrote to the last version that actually was the published version that won Broadway stuff and won Tonys had like 4 notes, like 1 bar was the same. So I am in no way trying to say that that means that your first draft is garbage and thus your final draft will be so different you won't even know it. That is not my implication here at all. But I simply wanted to point out that somebody who is a prolific writer and who wrote Hamilton, his process does involve things evolving over time, and some really, and he talks about, just to be clear, on the other side of that, in Hamilton, he talked about the song, I think it's the song that she sings, which I'm now forgetting, when she's mad at him because she found out about the affair. And I think he said that that song's pretty unchanged from like first version to end. Some lyrics changed. Burn, thank you. Yes, I think if I remember correctly, he was like, that song's pretty solid. Leigh Bardugo, I just read an interview with her that one of the big scenes in Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom, she's like, I have like 30 versions of that one scene because it was so important and I just couldn't quite get it right. And so my point is these people who are prolific and good at what they do, whether you like their stuff or not. I don't know, maybe think Hamilton's garbage, but some people do. So that's my point, is that it's okay if it evolves, and it's okay for your first one to be bad. And it may be that your first one is not nearly as bad as you think. And there'll be whole sections that you're like, that's pretty much what it was from day one. Just give yourself some grace. I hope that was okay if I shared that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Courtney.
I know all these things logically in my brain part. I need to like feel it in the heart part.
Yeah.